Sarah.
Susie Q. How
Welcome
you doing,
to the
my
Brain
dear?
Candy Podcast, episode 417. I'm okay. How are you?
Oh, you know,
Same
surviving,
old.
not thriving,
Yeah, that's it.
as they say.
It's weird how... Oh, this actually will lead into one of the things I wanted to talk about. But I was going to say, isn't it strange how, like, it's hard to tell whether time is moving slowly or at rapid pace?
Oh my God, ain't that the truth?
Right?
That it's so weird. Ren and I talk about this all the time. We're like, see, this is how the proof that time is like a social construct.
Yeah.
Because like, and when you don't have, and also my theory, but it's not mine. This is like probably something that I don't know is like a known thing. That we need novelty in order to make like markers in time. Like we need. When it's all routine, when it's the same every single day, when it's freaking Groundhog's Day, there's nothing to like pin, I don't know, what do you even call that? Like, it's like highlighting a moment in...
Yeah, like contrast.
Yes, contrast, yes. And you go, oh, that's different. I remember that. Like, we
Yes.
remember novelty. And
Yes.
like, I think about, you know, like the memory palace and the memorizing tricks and how you have to make it...
Absurd.
You know, absurd, yeah, and a novelty kind of thing in your mind. And so, yeah, there you go.
Well, it reminds me of when I had a new baby. And like other parents always like to say, oh, the days are long, but the years are short. And they say it like you're supposed to be all cutesy about it. But it actually is true because it's like, is this time moving really slowly or really fast?
Yeah.
And it's
So
both.
this is super crazy that you even bring that up because I read this. It's like somebody posted this meme online, a breastfeeding blog or something like that, or Instagram account. And I was like, oh my God. I read it to Ren and he was like, I think that's podcast material. Okay, listen to this. And I'm like, I'm not sure. I did not do any fact checking. So this is just straight off like, you know,
What else is
Instagram thing. So yeah, right. What else is new? Breastfeeding for 1 year is approximately 1,800 hours.
Oh, God.
A full-time job with 3 weeks vacation is 1,960 hours.
Wow.
So only 160 hours difference between breastfeeding for a year and a full-time freaking job. So think about the women who are doing both. What? Come on.
That is brutal.
Brutal.
Oh my God. And I know a lot of women, you know, instead of doing sort of like a schedule, they'll just sort of, the baby's like on them all the time.
Yes.
And
That's
can
what I
believe
would do.
it. Those hours really add up.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, sure. If
I
it
read
works
like
for you.
and yeah, like well, I mean now in this situation, I would just have my boob out all the time and be like, hey,
Right.
wherever you want. I would just like cut all my shirts to just be like, not just off the shoulder, but off the boob too. Just have that little baby around my hip, just whenever
Shirt
he wants.
Optional. Yeah.
Shirt optional. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a weird time in your life because the world outside continues at the same pace, but you're in your house with your new baby and it's just like quarantine. It's weird. It's what's the word?
Disorienting?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Disorienting.
That was a guess.
But I had read this article that was analyzing why we are so, as you say, disoriented about time right now. And it was referring to, well, it sort of made the comparison of when you travel, it's a similar problem, you know? Like,
Okay, go on.
okay, so like, have you ever gone on vacation and when you're about to come home, it's like it took a second, but also like the first day of your vacation seems like 3 years ago.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
So it's like it went fast, but then it went slow at the same time.
Yes. Totally.
Scientists call it the oddball effect.
I love science. Thank you, science, for giving this a name. Because everybody knows what it is, but we were like, what is that? And science is like, we're on it. Don't worry.
And they gave it an adorable name, oddball
Adorable.
effect.
The oddball effect. Okay, go on.
And they were saying that anytime your brain is introduced to more things at once than it's used to, it creates the illusion of more time passing or less time passing. So when you're on vacation, of course, you're introduced to a lot of different new things and idea and people that you're not familiar with.
Oh.
And also during a pandemic, you're not used to having to learn about whether you wear a mask or what, do you need to wear a bandana? Do I need to change my gloves right now? Do I need a bleach wipe? Like your brain is on overdrive trying to keep up with everything.
Yeah.
And so it changes your perception of time. And that's why we're in a flat circle right now.
And, now that makes me think, when I do my lectures on, the survivor response and like what happens in the body when somebody's experiencing trauma, that the executive functioning, outer, decision-making part of your brain.
Yeah.
Why can't I think of it? Whatever it's called, prefrontal cortex. There you go. When you're in the moment where you're feeling like you're in trauma, that shuts off, and that's where all of your ability to put things in chronological order comes from.
Oh.
So yeah, that's why survivors can't recall things. I know. So that's why people who have experienced trauma will not be able to recall things in a chronological order. They'll be able to remember peripheral details, but not central details, because that is what your brain's doing in like survival mode. So that makes sense that we don't have a good grasp of time right now if a lot of us are in kind of survival mode.
That adds a whole nother layer, because that article that I read was sort of saying, all this new information simulates the same effect as when you travel, and so you're not clear or whatever. But you're right that what we're all going through is trauma.
Right.
And so that adds a whole nother problem.
And I think people get like a little scared about oh my gosh, it's trauma. Like that,
But it
I
is.
feel like,
life as we know it is over. That's traumatic.
There's like a that as we know it. I guess that's true. Yes, you're so right. I mean, but we adjust and we adapt. And the good news is humans are so resilient. So
most of them. I wouldn't include myself in that category.
You're so funny.
I like that.
You've survived the challenge, Susie. You are in the winner's circle.
Only physically.
You always make the top 10 list of best of all time.
No, I meant to ask you, what were you on that list?
You and I usually fall right next to each other.
Neck,
it's always like 10, 11, 12,
That's
13.
So cute.
It is adorable.
But were you on that one? The most
yes,
recent
I think it was close to that number. Like, I usually fall between.
You should have been higher.
Fall right after all of the
all the boys,
really strong women.
Oh,
so it'll be like Laurel, Emily, and then me,
Cara.
Yeah,
good for you. I just root for you. I don't give a shit.
But thanks, Suze.
I didn't look at the list, but I was just thinking, well, Sarah better be ranked really high, because I mean, you're one of the best of all time.
Oh my God, you're so sweet.
Hey,
Thank
I'm
you.
an ambassador of the truth. That's what I am over here.
I do love that about you, especially when it's truth about moi.
Anyway, I was comforted to learn this sort of effect, because I know everyone's talking about what day is it, what's happening. But
weird.
It's nice to see it as a scientific understanding of what's going on.
What do you think could make the days go by? Like, you were like, because you want to remember some things, You don't,
I
like,
agree.
Do you want it to go? Because I maybe don't want it to zoom by.
My biggest regret so far is that I didn't start a journal on my first day of quarantine. Of like, so I could give it to Lincoln when he's older. Of like, here's what we did. I think
it's a great idea. Take photos. You can do you're kind of doing a photo journal in many ways.
Yeah. I wish I would have thought of that.
Hey, Suze, never too late to start.
That's true, Sarah.
You start right now. And then the first line can be, I wish I would have started this however many days ago. But, but during that time, I was dealing with the overwhelming stress of adjusting to a new life and a new normal.
Ain't that the truth?
There you go.
All right, Sarah.
I got half the work done for you already. Opening sentence is always the most difficult part of the book, right? There you go.
I remember I always used to say that. Once I came up with my dissertation title, I was like, I'm halfway done.
Same, right? I'm like, I already know. It's already done. I got the title. Yeah, right, the title. Oh, that's so funny. The title.
I don't know. There's something about it.
I totally agree. I was doing an article for a blog about couples and like, you know, exercises to help them kind of survive this time.
Yeah.
And that was the part that was most difficult. I was like, what do I call it? It's got to be catchy. It's got to be like this. It's got to be, you know. And then they didn't even use it. They were like, oh, we don't even need a title. We're just using quotes. And I was like, yeah, whatevs. I'll save that for another day.
Ah,
it's a good one.
That hurts.
Yes.
Well, one thing that doesn't hurt is when I get a big old thank you from Quip, because every 3 months they send me a replacement for my beautiful toothbrush, and I am so lucky.
Gorgeous.
Because right now we aren't leaving our house, but we still want to keep our teeth pearly white. That's why we need Quip.
Yeah.
I was reading about how Quip has the floss that we were talking about. It's eco-friendly, refillable floss. I did not know that, and I have to get it because it has a dispenser you keep for life.
Right.
And I friggin' love that because I'm like obsessed with zero waste now. But
that's all their toothbrush products.
True.
You just
yeah, that's true. But it's hard. Certain products are hard to find, like an eco-friendly version.
Eco-friendly dental floss is very difficult.
Yeah, so give Quip a try because their toothbrushes are electric, and then they pulse. They tell you when to switch sides. They tell you when you're done brushing, and then they mount to the mirror. It looks really sleek and beautiful, and it's not bulky at all. And then they have a smaller version that I have for Lincoln that's for kids. It's just a really great service. And then, like I said, they send you the replacement head every 3 months so that you can keep it clean and beautiful. And if you go to getquip.com/braincandy right now, you'll get your first refill for free. So that's your first refill for free at getquip.com/braincandy. That's QUIP.com/braincandy. Quip, the good habits company. And it's also gentle on your gums as well, the vibrations. So, some of them are like, you feel like you've been through hell.
Right? And I love anything that doesn't steal a plug, an outlet plug.
Me too.
I'm like, I don't want to see any of those cords. I'm already mad that the Alexa one has to be in there. Can't hide it.
Couldn't agree more.
Yes. The end.
Okay. So this is a super fun story that I know Sarah will love, and I think
love it.
The Brainiacs will love in general. I was reading about I love accents. I love the way people talk in different places. And they posed a question that I had never thought about, which is when the scientists are living in Antarctica, do they develop their own Antarctic accent?
Huh.
I love it. So they tested it.
Okay. Like a combination of everybody's...
Yeah.
Is this like a melting pot of everybody's accents all together? Is it because...
Yeah, like you influence each other in the same way that when people moved to the New World, then we got an American accent eventually.
Ooh. I have a follow-up question for the end of this that I have to save once you tell me. I have to write it down so I don't forget.
Well, so they were talking about how accents are very quick to form, which was surprising to me, and I didn't know that I would have assumed it took a really long time for a unique accent to develop.
Oh.
But it really doesn't.
Like how short of time?
I think that they were saying months because in their case, they're truly isolated. Normally, like when we're in quarantine, like we can still watch Netflix and like have
right.
influence from the outside. But when you're on the moon or in Antarctica, it's very limited in terms of your connection to other communities.
Yes.
And so Antarctica was a great place for them to conduct this study. And linguists would use words, they use words like food and cued and cooed. Those are the examples they gave.
Ah, those are very accenty words.
Yeah, they were saying that accents are easier to determine when you think about vowels, which makes sense, but I'd never really thought about it.
Like the long A or...
Yeah, like they gave the example of chowder. In Boston, it's totally different from New York. Even though they're very close to each other geographically, they're totally different. And really, it's the vowel part that gets funky.
Now I want to know. I have so many questions.
I know,
Where does it all start?
I'm not going to be much help. But I do think that the concept is super cool. And they were saying that if you were to talk to somebody that had lived in Antarctica for a year, you probably wouldn't notice, but you can measure it as a scientist. So it's not as if people would be like, whoa, you sound weird. But a scientist can decipher, the extent of the change. And the one word that they said the Antarctists had adjusted was the word backhoe, and that they started pronouncing the hoe part in the front of their mouths, almost like ow, like OU. Yeah, like something about the group that was there had influenced each other enough to alter that word pronunciation.
You got the backhoe ready? Yeah, okay. Got it.
So anyway, I just thought that was super cool. And I just love that if enough people lived there long enough, we would have a distinct accent. And then ultimately what usually happens is a dialect and then an actual new language emerges. Like if you're there long enough.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
I love that.
I know. I was like, okay, this is fantastic.
So then you said it when you were like, oh, also on the moon, because my question is, does the same thing happen on the International Space Station?
Probably. And they were saying, like, if we did colonate Mars, we would eventually end up with a Martian language.
And is it different depending on who, like, I would wonder if so this makes me think of people like myself who tend to pick up, like, or mirror the accents of other people. Like, if I hang out with Kenny Santucci from the show, I all of a sudden sound like I'm from Jersey within, like, hours. And I've heard that, like, that has something to do with, like, rates of empathy, and so I wonder, or personality type, or wanting to be like a people pleaser and things like that. And I wonder if there's a change in how fast it develops with certain personality types, or if like a dominating personality would be the dialect to develop, and if it developed differently depending on whose accent was, like if you have
who
two
did the
people
most
from
talking.
Boston, yes. And if we think that person is the dominant personality and everybody's trying to like be like them, or if you don't like them and you find them in, like, there's I have so many questions.
I remember when we were on the ruins, there were a lot of people on the cast who were native Spanish speakers, like Johanna, Veronica, maybe not native, I shouldn't say native, but frequent Spanish speakers. And I remember when I would drink, I would take on that. And I would notice it, be like, why am I pronouncing those words like that? But I'm sure that's what it is. Because we're isolated.
Totally. And I would start talking like Kenny. Right. And
Which
so would Evan and so would Johnny.
Hilarious. Yeah, so it makes sense to me. I will say, by the way, when I was looking in the article, they had a picture of, I guess, where the scientists live. It looks not cold.
What? Oh, wait, you mean inside?
No, like the building.
Like, outside?
Like I just picture it very snowy and very Arctic.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Isn't
there
it
was
one
like
of those
dirt
places
and stuff.
Where it's like the driest place on the earth?
Yeah.
Like one of the driest, and there's like, no, and it's so cold, and there's not even moisture in the air to even, it's like chaps your face. It's so cold.
It was
I mean, I don't know. I've never been
deceiving.
there. I've just heard that.
Yeah. I feel like there's mixed messages on that place because sometimes people talk about it like you are, where it's like
kind
so
of big though.
It is big.
Might be different climate zones.
True. But don't you, when you think of it, you just think of this icy tundra.
Yes. But I don't think of snow.
What?
I don't.
What do you think of? Grass?
Like icy, no, like ice, just ice.
Oh.
Like, I feel like for snow to happen, I don't know, it almost feels like it's just cold. There's not a lot of change I feel like snow happens when like there's change in I don't frickin' know about, this is one of those things I know nothing about. I don't know, like for real. I mean, the other night, Ren and I were staring out at the stars, like we do, sitting on our porch. And I was like, I've been looking at this one star for so long, and I'm like, man, that is so bright. And like, I was convinced it was like I don't know, a satellite or an airplane, but it had been there for months. And then I pull out my little stargazer thing and find out it was a planet. And I'm like, I don't know a friggin' thing. I don't even know the difference between what a star looks like, what a planet looks like. It's right there. It's Venus. You think that's like important?
Yes, it was
know about
Venus.
that.
You're right.
Yes. We could see that for a long time.
I know. We've been tracking it with our telescope.
Oh, see, I just have to talk to some people who like know a little more than me about astronomy.
But like, I only know that because I follow a weatherman on Instagram, and he told his followers to look, and here's where it'll be. I wouldn't have noticed it otherwise.
Oh, I know. You know what? I finally got out the stargazer thing because on Neil deGrasse Tyson's Instagram, he said that I think it was March 16th that Venus and Mars and the moon would make a happy face.
Yes.
Yeah, so cute.
We are like nerd twins, me and you.
Oh my gosh, for sure. Well, that's why we found each other. And
I know.
Like, it was in love at first sight.
It really was.
They said it wouldn't last.
This ain't no showmance.
Right. They were like, oh, this is just a showmance between these two. I'm like, we'll prove them wrong.
Sarah's totally stuck with me, you guys.
Stuck? You're stuck with me.
I mean, with pleasure. Okay.
Yay. Oh, this is adorable. This is just like us being schmoopy now. You have to deal with it, people.
I wanted to encourage people, by the way, to check out our Patreon because I'm getting really excited about, we have the Q&As, which people love, and the silly cold calls and stuff that we do, but I'm getting really excited about our interviews. Like I did a interview the other day with a casting director for reality TV.
That is cool.
It was so fun, and we got more questions for her from our listeners than for any of the cast members.
I love that.
Me too. I was like, these are thoughtful people.
Oh, and I'm sure there are questions that I've had that I have not had the opportunity. Like, I'd have never asked a casting director anything. I have questions.
A lot of them were really like, how come no fat people are on TV? How come, where are the Asians? Which I loved that.
Yes,
were like,
I
excuse
asked that
me.
too.
Yeah.
Great. Ooh.
But I just was like, I really love that we show people how reality TV is made. Like, it's more than just, here's what happened on the challenge and isn't it funny? And that, I like doing that too. But I really love unpacking the genre and being like, here's how it really works. And you can learn about it and still enjoy it, but be informed.
Tori and I got into a really great discussion about what happens when two people who are labeled a couple go on the show and the loss of the identity of the individual and how they become a we, and it's like a package deal and what that's like. And how this was a season where they did that a lot. So, and even for a lot of other reality shows where, could that be something that
I think that would happen with you and
couples.
I if we went on.
100% it would be a we thing.
Yeah, and it would probably have bad and good things about it. Yeah, for both of us.
Totally.
But if people do want to check out those interviews and the Q&As, it's patreon.com/braincandy, and we have tiers from $1 all the way up to whatevs. And I think it's really fun and good stuff. I'm proud of what we're creating.
Same. Thanks,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Anyway, okay. So the next thing, I believe on a previous episode, we had talked, this was ages ago, about one of those dancing crazes, where it's like contagious and people start dancing for no reason.
Yeah. Oh,
okay. Do you know?
Oh, yes. I
think this was actually something you had talked about, like maybe years ago.
Yeah.
And like sometimes illness or delirium can be contagious, the power of suggestion, or maybe there's more to it. Hard to say. But anyway, a lot of the content, Sarah and I were talking about this before we started, a lot of the content that's being produced right now is sort of like quarantine based, but like if you can find more to it, that's what I'm into.
Yeah.
So this was in the context of what we're going through now. They were exploring how in 1518 a woman started dancing and didn't stop. And she danced basically nonstop for a whole week, and her feet were bloody and like swollen and stuff. And she just was at the mercy of her rhythm. And I used to say I'm a slave to my rhythm, but I don't like using slave now, so I just have to change it.
I agree with that.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was like, I don't like that language. I need to change that. Okay.
Yes. Good job.
So thank you. She's at the mercy of her rhythm. And, but then like the town people started like joining in, and it became kind of like this kooky crazy, like townspeople all dancing in the street. And so the people...
Did they know that she was cuckoo crazy when they were dancing with her?
I think my perception is she started dancing and everyone was like, what's this about? Which is what you would think if you saw someone dancing in your street. But then like...
this sounds like I'm like watching Footloose, not like real life.
Well, because maybe she was a really great dancer or something.
Who knows?
Like if I saw J-Lo out there, I might join in too. Who knows what she was all about?
Okay. That would be a real lucky... break that the woman, cuckoo crazy woman who gets the dancing fit, also has boogie woogie shoes to have some feet.
But here's the thing: the fact that we're still talking about it 500 years later means it may have been like a super hot broad, like shaking her moneymaker, and everyone was like, "I want to do that too." But we don't know. I don't know why it was contagious, but it was, okay? So then the doctors came in and they decided that these people had, quote, hot blood. And
this sounds like the same doctor that would say put the lime in the coconut.
Stop it.
Or the same doctor who said, ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ting, tang, blah, 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 big, big. That's the same doctor. That's who she went to.
And frankly, that's the doctor I want to go to, if I'm honest. So they had hot blood, and the best part is the only cure...
More cowbell.
More dancing. Swear to God. That's what they said. So, okay.
And they said laughter was the best medicine.
In our case, it's both. It's like stories about dancing.
Take a two-step and call me in the morning. I could keep going.
Take a two-step. That's so great. Okay.
Oh, my God.
Now, so these bozos danced all summer long. I'm sure they must have slept, but it didn't say that in the article. Mm-hmm. But after the summer, some people were, quote, healed. Mm-hmm. Some of them died from exhaustion. Wow. And others just, like, packed up and went home. So then this article did a really...
Everything is funny because I'm like, that sounds like Coachella.
Oh, my God. You're so right. And that's kind of the point of the article, actually, is that...
Oh, my God.
So the scientists think that the year before, 1517, had been this horrific drought and, a collective tragedy, not unlike what we're going through now. And
this
guess
is
what
cool,
else?
Suze.
Isn't it? So, like, guess what else we're doing now? Hello, TikTok?
OMG.
Right?
I see all the pieces like bing, bing, bing,
Me
bing,
too, Sarah.
Man.
Okay, and then they were saying how some people believe that dancing is like, quote, the body's earthquake. That we need to move our bodies... Amen. Just like the earth does, in order to recalibrate and resettle and find ourselves again.
Yes.
Okay.
You can see this from animals.
Really?
That's why my dog has to stretch like she does. And that's why when you pet them, they get up and they have to shake out all that energy. They always do that
cute.
after a good pet sesh. Because they're like, I got to recalibrate my body. Hang on. Shake, 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 shake. Ah, okay.
Yeah, so it's like we, somewhere deep inside of ourselves, know that the cure for what ails us is movement.
Wow.
And I love that.
Well, we got to get dancing.
We got to, I dance every damn day. I mean, that's the only thing that makes me happy is music. So I always dance like a weirdo. You
got to dance more. No, it's not a weirdo thing.
Well, it's weird when it's by yourself.
No, not at all. That's when I feel most comfortable. That's when I do my best moves.
I'm like that crazy lady that went out in the street, except I keep it inside. And I got so into, they have a fucking disco channel on Alexa that's Disco Fever. And
Ooh.
I was getting so into it that I accidentally dropped my makeup and it broke all over my bathroom, but it was worth it.
Oh, hey, I know how to fix that. Super easy.
Well, there's no way. Because I'm talking about liquid foundation, and there's glass in it.
That never mind. I thought it was powder. I was like, I got the cure for your powder drop. Nope, that was a big. It
was
oopsie.
Everywhere. Anyway,
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's a mess.
But they were pointing out how you've probably seen some of the TikToks that nurses and doctors are doing at the hospital. And sometimes they're criticized for it. Like, oh yeah, you're so busy. You're like fucking dancing in the.
No. I need it.
That's why, is because they know that will help them.
Wow, that's great.
And I love that in the article, they called it radical empathy, and that our bodies want to resist being dead inside. They called it the deadening effect. And that in order to resist that, we're like, no, I am going to stay alive. And so we dance. How cool is that?
That's cool. Thank you, bodies. So we can't resist that.
No. If you feel it, like, I just need to get up and do something, do it.
Yeah. Oh, I love this.
And maybe if you don't even feel like it.
Do you remember, this is what this whole story made me think of, is there was a Halloween Disney special that was out like in the late 80s, early 90s. It was like Mickey's Halloween. Mm-hmm. And it was Donald Duck and there was a witch. Oh, what's her name? Probably Broomhilda or something like that. And she zapped his shoes and she was like, dancing feet, don't stop dancing.
Yes.
And she like zaps his feet and he's like, and he becomes like she was really doing him a favor. And then I think about, like a witchy lady who would be dancing in the street. And I'm like, yeah. Okay. This is like, falls totally in line with like witchy culture.
They even mentioned, that show, The Masked Singer.
Yeah. Like what's that about?
Well,
people love that.
I know. I don't watch it, but
me neither.
It's what it sounds like. That the singer is unknown, and you have to try to guess who it is. But in the article, they mentioned how Sarah Palin was one of them, and she was dancing to "Baby Got Back." Did you see that clip?
No.
It was really something to behold. And they were pointing out, in the same way that TikTok is having this effect, that shows like that are also a part of this, what they're calling sort of a movement.
Well, what a funny thing to call it.
Right. They're being literal.
A movement.
Movement.
Yes.
I love that. That's actually really clever. I'm writing that down.
Oh.
Isn't that a fun little something?
I love it. That's really great.
Good. Okay.
It makes me want to bust out the dance music. And we have a record player here, and that's been real fun.
Yes.
And
pump up the
listening
jams.
to stuff on vinyl is totally a different experience. I get what people like.
I do too.
I mean, you have one too.
Yeah. I do prefer it.
It's great.
It's just a little cumbersome, because you got to flip it over and stuff.
Yeah, and you don't get that long with the song. It doesn't. You got to flip it over a lot. Like,
yes, that's so true.
Not a lot of music on one thing. I didn't know that.
Right.
Like last time I had like a record player that was regularly used in the house, I was about 7 years old, and I feel like it seemed like the records were on there for forever.
Ain't that the truth?
And I never changed them. So now I'm like, man, this is very labor intensive.
Labor intensive. Did you, when you were a kid, have one of those plastic ones like Fisher Price? It's like a briefcase, and it was a record player. That was probably before your time.
What? And it had like little. You could put the discs in that had little bumps in them, and it would like. Yes, I did have that.
Oh, that's a classic.
Yeah, that is a classic. I believe it was a garage sale find for me. It was not I did not get that new. I definitely know that.
You're a youngster.
Yes. But we also had like the real one in the house, and music just everywhere. Big, huge speakers. Yeah.
I would encourage people just to introduce more music into their pandemic life, because it is a mood booster for sure.
Yeah. It's great.
Okay, this is another fun one that was about the psychology. Maybe you're not experiencing this because you're not like this, but the psychology of why people want to text their ex during a quarantine.
Well, I definitely don't want to do that. I feel like that's only if maybe you're alone right now.
I'm sure that does
not
add
people
to
in
it.
current relationships or people who are like in,
I think it applies to them, just less so.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Tell me why.
Well, first of all, did you hear from any of your exes in the last 2 months, like during this time? Like for just niceties, not,
yeah.
legal stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
Because you're in a weird moment.
Not somebody I would call like an ex, but like somebody from the past. Yeah. Yeah. I'd say yes.
Okay. Yeah. So have I. And I don't even think it's like suggestive. It's just they almost like check in, like how you holding up kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay. So they were saying that we as human beings understand ourselves mainly within the context of people we've loved and interact with.
Yes. Oh,
right?
My gosh. You need that mirror to reflect. Oh, my God. These are such good things we're talking about today.
Happy.
My mind is just blown.
It's like I was researching for our episode and I was like, let me just say, Adam, I love brain candy.
Oh, my God.
Like, because I know when I read it, if our listeners will love it or if you'll get excited, and then it makes me so excited.
I mean, the best is that all of these, you just have to give me the idea and you can just, like the hint as to what the theme
real
is.
Easy.
And it's just so fun to see how, based on things that we've talked about on here in the past, inform, like...
Absolutely.
Yeah, this. Like, it's so cool. I love it. Tell me more.
Okay. So, you know that thing about how, like, you have different groups of friends and how it's kind of weird when worlds collide and they, like, interact?
Totally. Remember my Christmas party? It was, like, the first time everybody hung out, and they were like, what? You kept all these people from me? These are great.
Well, it is great, but sometimes it can give people, like, anxiety. If they're the common thread, it feels a little weird.
That's
and they
how
were
I felt.
saying that I had a great time, just so you know. But we have different sides to ourselves, and we emphasize different sides with different groups.
Yes.
And each group is important in a different way. Anyway, they were saying that being cut off from our normal outlets leads us to seek comfort in familiar places. And so if you were at one time with someone or hooked up with someone, they provided you comfort and pleasure at one time in your life. And so your brain is like, hey, that would be nice again. I would like to have that same feeling. And so that's why you're like, maybe I should check on so-and-so, or maybe your ex reached out to you and that's what they were feeling, maybe even unbeknownst to them.
Wow, that's true. I'm trying to think of other ways like I'm seeking out comfort. And there's been a real desire to watch Pixar movies.
Sarah, I wanted to tell you I think it was last episode or 2 weeks ago, you said, nobody develops a new coping strategy during trauma, during quarantine.
Yes.
You resort to what you did as a child. I didn't even put it together, but I've been doing the same thing as you're saying, like Pixar movies. I've been buying fucking like Hostess, Swiss cake rolls, ding dongs, donuts. I don't buy those normally.
Oh my God, it's so funny you say that because I came home, at least I bought the organic version, but with basically organic version of Golden Grahams and Lucky Charms because I need some of that.
Yes.
Oh my God. And I'm like, I looked at my grocery cart and I'm like, this doesn't even look like stuff I would buy.
Yes, Sarah.
Whose grocery cart is this?
You're nail on the head. Like when you said nobody's developing, like, I'm going to come up with a new coping strategy.
Dude.
They're like, what did I love when I was 7? I know.
It's basically a show about how much we love our show.
And isn't it weird, though, how this is also underground? Like, it's not like I bought the donuts thinking like
I know that's what I say all the time. Like, gosh, this is sometimes I feel like I fall into this trap where like I'm very aware of like the reason behind why I do things. So then I'm sometimes verbal and like and talk about that, and people think, wow, you must be depressed, or you must be anxious, or you must be, and I'm like, no, I just know that the reason why I'm more frustrated when I stubbed my toe today is because I'm more anxious than I was, and blah 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 blah. And sometimes like I tried to tell, like, this is like family and friend stuff. I'm like, I'm telling you, you can call it whatever you want. You can say that you're not, and then you wonder why, you're more frustrated with whatever, like, or you got angry at the person who called, like, from when you were trying to, like, clear up something with the phone company or whatever it is. And I'm like, you don't need, like, we could pretend that you're, not aware of it. You may not be aware of it, but nobody is, like, immune.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, because, these little things you don't even think about. You're just sort of like, oh, I could go for some Lucky Charms. You're not thinking about your childhood necessarily.
Right. Analyzing why you may be purchasing those and, and like, I do that too much, which is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, like you're more aware of it because that's your job. But for most of us, it feels very like robotic, not at all conscious. And so it's fascinating when you realize, oh, that's why I did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Even things like, for me, it'll be like picking at my face or biting my nails.
Totally.
Or
your nails look great, though.
Oh my God, let me tell you, I bought this nail growth treatment, not an ad, but holy crap.
What's the secret in that stuff? Is it like miracle growth for humans?
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, yeah, totally miracle. Yeah.
It's
impressed. Crazy. So there you go. If you bite all your nails off, and you can just grab that Sally Hansen nail treatment, boom.
That's a secret.
No problem. Secret. Yeah. Or just like don't watch terrifying shows on Netflix. The platform, you can skip that.
The platform. What's that?
Yeah. It's like...
Oh, that's the movie you watched. Yes.
Yes.
I remember that one.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's why you want to text your ex. And everyone on Twitter is saying, like, don't do it. But I'm saying, like, just go ahead if you want. I mean, especially if you're single. But they were saying at the end of the article, it was like, but if your ex only reached out to you during quarantine, you might want to, like, think twice about reigniting that spark.
I think, it's good to, like, and ask yourself, is it, like, do you miss companionship or do you miss the traits of that person,
Or the deep dickin'.
Or might be that. Amen. Get it how you live it.
But I mean, if it's like a momentary, you just want to say hi and that'll bring you comfort, knock yourself out.
Knock yourself out.
Okay. Next up.
Just don't be hitting me up, people.
Yeah, you know what? When I was reading that article and I thought, well, this isn't true for Sarah. You are the most extreme version of a person that I know who really closes that door.
Thank you.
It's over.
Thank you.
It's amazing. I don't know how you do it, frankly.
Because I don't, when it, like, it's done, it's done. Yeah, I don't have any, I don't know.
Because I'm always hey, whatever happened to so-and-so? And you're like, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't care. Yeah.
I'm constantly
because it doesn't have
checking.
any effect on, like, I'm very clear, like, the like level of happiness, like my overall, like, reported level of happiness from each different, time in my life and whoever I was with.
Yeah.
And when I'm able to say, oh my God, my level of happiness right now is here. Why on earth would I need to, even know about somebody where my level of happiness was way down low?
I'm just so curious, though. I'm always like, wonder what happened to them, and I like seeing it. I don't know. I think I'm more normal. Maybe Dahlia could. You
definitely are. You definitely are more normal. That's
You're very good at compartmentalizing, though.
Yeah, I guess so. I wonder if guys are like that because I did take that MMPI, and they said that I had a brain like a dude. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I don't think they cyber stalk as much as women do.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I'm just kind of like, what ifs.
If I ever dated you or banged you or even like held your hand, I am checking up on you regularly, just so you all know.
That's great. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's a lot of work.
It is,
I'd be
but
busy. No, I'm kidding.
I enjoy it. I find it really fun.
Yes.
Okay.
And, I enjoy exploring the depths of Amazon to find the perfect pair of leggings. So, to each his own.
Whatever is soothing to you.
Whatever feels good for you.
Okay, what do I want to share? How about we can learn something from plants? That'll be fun.
Oh, you know how I love learning things from plants, and there's so much to learn.
So
this is a topic that gets me all kinds of riled up.
She gets wound
in the
up.
best ways. I get very excited.
So one scientist had noticed a big tree fell on the ground and was like, what are you laughing at?
I don't know. It just sounds like I don't know. It's funny. It sounds like the setup for a joke.
And he noticed that the tree had fallen on top of a bunch of flowers, but the flowers were still alive. They were just kind of bent down and crushed. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So he wanted to study the resiliency of plants and like how they manage when something like that happens. And so he distilled it down to like this essence: life wants more. Remember how I told you what my takeaway from the body book was, that your body really wants to stay alive?
Yep.
Well, that's true for flowers too.
And that's what Jeff Goldblum says in Jurassic Park.
Right. Life
finds a way.
Right. And that our main goal, like you had one job, is to stay alive. And so the plant will, over time, right itself and make sure that they are in a position for pollination. That's like their main goal is just to have a landing pad for a bee or whatever to land on it.
Yeah.
And he said, this seems so obvious. We've all observed that happen, but no one had ever studied it. It was almost so obvious that nobody had looked into it. But he was just saying they reorient themselves after injury. So naturally, this is a great metaphor for us as people, that we can be injured and still reorient ourselves in a way that allows us to survive and hopefully thrive.
And a little addition to that would be when you're focused on what the ultimate goal is, which is to stay alive, to live,
to get the light, to get the pollination, or in our case, to be successful or to find love or whatever,
have happiness and
contentment. And he was like, this isn't a prescription. Like, not everything is applicable exactly to a human being, and we're complicated and sentient beings, but it can be, he called it a totem of resilience. So just a reminder, like when you see an herb growing on your windowsill or whatever, just be like, you know what? They want to have life, and so do I. And it can be an inspiration.
Yes.
Yeah, because he was like,
that.
Plants are stuck in one place. They don't have a lot of options, and neither do we right now. So you're stuck in one place. You might be injured, but you can still survive.
Yes, that reminds me of that beautiful book, probably my favorite book of all time now, Lab Girl.
Yeah.
That was all about metaphors between plants and life. And
when we can learn so much from them.
So much. Mm-hmm. I love what she says about a seed, how different seeds take different time to start growing, and sometimes they need different conditions. Everyone needs different things. But they eventually will.
I think, how you're seeing a lot of people do like windowsill gardens or like, propagating and stuff like that right now. And I think a lot of people just, might think, well, I'm bored, or this is just something to do right now. But I think that it's almost like what we talked about before, where we're not even aware of our own
100%
motivation. So maybe they see it as like, this is hope.
Yes.
And
if this thing survives, so can I.
Yeah.
I will survive through this thing.
Exactly. I think that there's maybe
100%.
more to it, and that people are looking for hope and optimism, and plants can do that for you.
And like drawing attention or having awareness of things does not mean any of these things are bad. It's the opposite. Mm-hmm. It's like, wow, this is that resilience I was speaking of, about how humans are so resilient, that we're naturally inclined to do these things that make us feel good and remind us of growth and remind us that we're still alive, even in default mode. Mm-hmm. And that's so hopeful.
Yes.
And think about how great it can be when you actually add intention.
Right. That's what I
Amen.
want to encourage everybody to do. But we all have bad days, so forgive yourself when you do. But if you're
Yes.
feeling a little more energetic, then maybe do one of these things.
I love it.
Yay!
Yay!
Staying
It's like therapy.
positive.
Yay!
Anyway, also you should subscribe and leave us a 5-star review and,
Definitely.
just like...
Check out those amazing videos and interviews on Patreon that Suze was talking about.
Yeah,
that
you'll love them.
we were talking about. You will love them. So much fun stuff. Patreon.com/brain candy. And then you can join us for the weekly Q&As and get even more
I know.
fun
It's
stuff.
endless fun.
Love it.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.